we have the honor of introducing a new show, a new program called Africa Business. In this Africa Business, we shall be targeting agriculture. We shall be looking at agriculture as the basis of the African continent. We shall be looking at agribusiness in Africa. What can we do in Africa to change the agriculture format, the face of agriculture, the weather, the climate is coming, everything is coming against the weather and the conditions that were naturally here. Forests are being cut, everything is coming, the rivers are overflowing, the oceans are reclaiming back the land they used to have. Lake Victoria has expanded and come back to swallow some people who had invaded the wetlands. What can we do in Africa? In this basis and direction, and I hope this could be taken as a takeaway, in this basis and direction, therefore, we have, on behalf of Punchline Africa Television, looked for an expert, a lady herself who has been handling and looking at Africa, the crops, the food, the storage, the growing of crops that are natural, that bring us the good life, the blood flowing very nice. Most of us cry of so many diseases, but some of them are brought about by not eating the proper type of food like we used to do, our forefathers used to do. With us today, we are honored to be joined.
I am so excited and delighted to be on the show today as we unpack the whole story of agriculture, food stories in Africa and beyond. Thank you so much.
In fact, it is going to be your show. I was going to introduce you to Miriam Ogutu, hand you over to Miriam Ogutu to cue you in, and it becomes your show. We shall only come in to ask questions, so you can tell our viewers exactly what is this agribusiness, what is it that you do, and how can we in Africa reinvent ourselves, find modus operandi of changing our lives in terms of food security that we need much in most of the countries in Africa. Miriam, back to you in the headquarters. Headquarters has to give permission for us to have the mic, and then you introduce Eunice Baraza.
Thank you for that, Eunice. Nice to have you on the show this morning. Perhaps you could do us the honors and let our viewers know who you are, what you do, and we can start our conversation from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Miriam. Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Eunice Bilosio Barasa. I have a great passion for Africa and largely within the space of agribusiness, agriculture, because that is the backbone of our existence. That is food. Without food, we cannot really say that we are in existence. At the moment, you may have to bear with me because of the background noises. I'm in a makeshift office, as Dr. Masanga put it, because of the hustle that calls upon me almost on a daily basis. So we'll have to bear with them because they're also hustling. They're looking for food. And that is why the conversation has to go on today. So in a nutshell, that is who I am. Let's continue to understand exactly why we are here as we continue with the discussion.
So agriculture production is one of the most important economic sectors in the majority of African countries. Approximately about 75% of Africans rely on it for their livelihoods. History illustrates that agriculture, particularly the developed agribusiness and agro-industry sectors, has been the driver of economic growth. We're having a bit of a technical hitch there with the connection from Eunice.
Can you, when you are not speaking, can you switch off your phone, mute your phone, and you can use audio. Now we know you can use audio instead of the video, because video is interrupting. Oh, she's gone. Yeah, let's go on. She'll come back.
Okay, so as I was saying, approximately 75, we apologize for that connection. Sometimes technology is like that. So once Eunice is able to join us, that Africa is still grappling with. So Eunice, if you can hear me, good morning. We lost you there for a moment.
Eunice, are you on now?
Yes,
Now
I can now hear you. I guess I might have to do.
Yeah, you can do audio. Just do audio without the video. Yes.
Okay. So Eunice, what would you say is the state of agribusiness in perhaps Kenya and Africa?
Agribusiness seems to be the catchword, if we may have to say currently, because if we may just have to borrow a few conversations from the just ended COP27 conference, barely just a few weeks ago, almost everything was talking about food security. You go online, all the posts are about food security. And this has a very strong bearing on the whole aspect of agribusiness. But when we speak about agribusiness, I have a very big concern there, because it seems like the food production, how many of us are having to think about the amount of food that should be left within the household for those who are producing the same food that is headed to the market. So yes, we speak about agri crops that are supposed to be high yielding. What about those crops that are perceived, quote unquote, those ones which are perceived to be low yielding, those which are perceived to be inferior, those which are perceived to be having less economic value? So those are my thoughts when it comes to agribusiness. And it is my desire that largely when we begin to talk about agribusiness, we focus on our indigenous foods so that we can make them also a subject of discussion when it comes to global discussions on food security.
Mm-hmm. Very important point there. Doc?
Yes, I think she has a point on focusing on indigenous. You talk about the food security, but the food must flow in all directions, both directions, I think so. And in this discussion, has Africa reached, if I can ask you, Eunice, has Africa reached a level where we can say, okay, we can have food and get a surplus? Take a country like in Uganda, for example. We have surplus of almost everything. And don't blame me, because Miriam, don't hit us with stones. But this is what has happened. We have food, we have enough sugar, which we can lend to Kenya for them to survive for the whole year without importing sugar from outside. We have enough food, like maize. Kampala need carrots. If you stand on Busia, Malaba border entries, look at the many trucks of carrots that go into Uganda to take carrots. It's a business, it's a one-day business that you deliver the carrots, you deliver twice in a week, you wait for your 100,000 shillings or 200,000 shillings, whatever the price you will find. Because hotels in Kampala, in Uganda, are consuming carrots, but Uganda does not grow carrots. We don't have enough carrots. We have a lot of pineapples, for example, compared to the pineapples that you have in Thika. Uganda grows sweet pineapples from the area of Masaka area. When you eat the Uganda pineapple, you would like to eat it again tomorrow. You would like to tell your chef that where is that pineapple today? When you eat Uganda mbogoya, the mbogoya, which is the ripe banana, which is the tall one, leave the smaller one. I think Eunice will be able to explain to us. You will want to eat it more. So we need these African countries to unite, to have a common policy on food imports and exports, to have a common policy on food exchanges, surplus. If you have surplus of maize, surplus of millet, surplus of sorghum. Why don't you exchange it with rice from where? I'm told that some people are pouring food out in Nigeria because they don't have what to do with it. But there's nobody who has harnessed food from Nigeria. I don't know, because Miriam would not like to eat, or Matanga would not like to eat some food from there. You will have said, what type of food is this? So that is one of the reasons why we are going to introduce this topic, and it will be coming every Tuesday, and Eunice talk about that. Eunice.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. Okay, Dr. Matsanga, you've raised very important points there. Number one, you talked about producing food for the local consumption and for the market. And in this one, you are talking about the movement, for example, of carrots from Kenya all the way to Uganda. And then you also mentioned a fruit like pineapples, which we are growing largely in Thika. And this is one of the crops or commodities that are well known when you mention the name Thika. My point of concern is this: are we focusing on these specialty crops for the market or for local consumption as well? These end up not consuming them. Should they want to consume them, they are very, very expensive. Now, if we have to allow large companies to come in and engage local communities in the production of a particular crop for the market, what is it that is going to guide in terms of how much should be sold to the outside market and how much should be left for the local community, and at how much, at what price? Those are some of the key issues that we need to look at going forward. Then you've also mentioned something, that we have particular areas like in Nigeria, for example, where food is going to waste. I still have a problem. If we have to encourage almost effective or seamless movement of foods within and between African countries, why can't we make it also easy and seamless within our own countries? I will give you the example of Kenya, for instance. We have some regions where, in as much as we are crying that there's drought and hunger in certain areas, believe you me, we have places in Kenya, even as recent as yesterday, where someone was saying he has a huge harvest of maize, but there's no one to come and buy that maize. We have places where cabbage is literally being chopped up and fed to animals because there's no one buying. And mark you, this is the same country where we are crying and saying, we are dying of hunger. So can we look at some of these local issues so that we can have this easy distribution of food within and between counties locally? Let's make our systems seamless within, perfect our ways within our countries before we think of now going regional, so that we can actually practice what we preach back home.
Oh my. I think there's a point there. And Miriam, for me, Eunice worked in Zimbabwe. I want Eunice to bring to us the experiences. She studied in Zimbabwe. She knows some of the foodstuffs, some of the crops that are very healthy, that are very good for the African man and the woman and even the children, so that they don't suffer like the way we are suffering today. We are suffering today because the Chinese have come and said, you can have medicine. I have seen so many people lining at the clinics. Chinese medicine, Chinese shop. You buy this, it will be all right. I lost a brother in London who was told that you mix this Chinese thing, you will be all right. In sometime this year, I had to mourn, because is there anything that Africa, like giving the example of Zimbabwe, where you were as a student and where you lived, and you know some of their foodstuffs, is there a way that that type of resilience can be duplicated elsewhere in Africa?
Oh, yes. You know, anytime Zimbabwe is mentioned, it becomes quite nostalgic to me, because when we moved to Zimbabwe, it was almost at the height of, those very, very tough days. And in as much as it was tough, I respect Zimbabwe for one thing. They have huge respect for their foods, natural foods. They have huge respect for their plants. And when we talk about agribusiness, I don't know why we always focus on edible foods is almost a fallacy. Sorry to describe it that way, because agribusiness concerns every other product that originates from our lands. Why are we only focusing on the food crops and not on the shrubs and the plants that come from our land, that grow on our land? I'm linking this to my stay in Zimbabwe because I came to appreciate the value that natural resources can play in the food systems. Zimbabwe is quite big when it comes to utilization of their natural resources in the nature of herbs, medicinal plants. During COVID, Zimbabwe was among the leading African countries that actually made use of a shrub known as Lipia javanica, which I came to learn, and I actually consumed their tea when I was in Zimbabwe. And I was like, come on, why are we always complaining and saying that we do not have enough resources that are coming out of our lands, yet the only kind of shrubs that we can give value to is either tobacco, or we are talking about cotton, or we are talking about, cocoa. Why can't we go lower and analyze those immense medicinal plants that we have? And I link my knowledge and appreciation to indigenous medicinal plants. I appreciate this to the fact that I link it to the fact that my stay in Zimbabwe opened up my eyes. Apart from gaining my first degree and the knowledge that I now enjoy at this particular time, Zimbabwe has a special place in Africa, which we should all appreciate, we like it or not. We may not appreciate for those who have not been on the ground, but for those of us who have been on the ground, this is the knowledge that I have learned from there. And consumption of caterpillars, worms, this is a delicacy in Zimbabwe. Did you lose me?
Yeah. No, I'm saying, what are you saying? What? Caterpillar?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Caterpillars. In the local language, they are called Madora.
Madora. Oh, now just come slowly. How are these Eunice, explain to us and our viewers,
yes,
because
please.
Before we go for lunch, I don't know whether Miriam and others will eat lunch for now. Caterpillar in Africa, you see these have you seen why this program of yours is very wide? Look at the type of foods that we like in East Africa compared to the type of food that we hate. For example, you saw what Matanga said, what? Because yes, caterpillar in my country is like an abomination. I don't know how many Kenyans eat caterpillars here.
Yes, you see the kind of shock you register on your face when we mention caterpillars?
In fact, not even in the face, it is in the heart.
Okay.
It has shaken me. How do these caterpillars enter my mouth? This is some of the things that Eunice, this is why we need to come to these televisions and explain some things. Go ahead, ma'am.
So, my point is this. Every region has got its own unique ways of ensuring that they are food secure and they have access to certain nutrients. So caterpillars in Zimbabwe is actually a delicacy, and you find them actually displayed in the supermarkets, very well packaged and labeled and displayed in the supermarkets. What is this telling us? That we have got all unique ways and resources at our disposal to address certain gaps in the food systems.
Go ahead.
You're laughing.
Go ahead,
Dr.
my
Masanga.
sister. You are making my day. Go ahead.
Okay, now coming back to my own
We
country,
can't
in
hear
my
you.
own region, in the Western Kenya, and I believe even in South Nyanza and so many other parts of
To come back.
Kenya as a country in general, we also eat ants. You see, those flying ants, in my language, we call them chiswa. You see, to other people, this
Now
will
go
sound like
on that one. Go slowly. Chiswa is
chiswa,
mine.
yes.
Yes, mine. Yes, I also that one.
Mhm.
Oh, Dr. Matsanga, today you are caught in catch 22. Chiswa is my my delicacy in Bugisu.
Yes. You see,
and they usually come when the first rain, the rain has
absolutely.
hit the ground. Then
Yes.
you see this chiswa coming. That's okay. That's okay. They are not bad like a caterpillar, surely. No, no. Yeah, go ahead, my sister. Go ahead.
Okay. Now for us,
Chiswa in the Bugisu.
chiswa, yes,
All
chiswa is a
Luya,
delicacy.
all the
Yes,
Luyas from Mbale up to Maragori near Musalia, Mudavad, and others. We
yes,
eat chiswa.
yes.
Chiswa is
We
our
eat
delicacy.
those.
Yes.
Mhm. We eat those. So what am I trying to say? Are we only going to be crying of food scarcity, or maybe vegetables? Let me talk about vegetables or accompaniments. The scarcity of them, just because we do not have cabbage on our tables, just because we do not have skuma wiki or kale on our tables, just because we don't have spinach on our tables. That is the time we are going to cry and say we do not have sufficient food. What if we shifted our minds a little bit and begin to give serious consideration to the things that have raised us, to the foods that have raised us, to the foods that give us that identity and uniqueness and ability to survive, to push through difficult situations? Why don't we just a little bit shift our attention to those ones and begin to give them integrity, begin to give them value, begin to make them commonly, readily available so that we get used to them? This is the point that I'm trying to share with us today.
The point you are sharing is not bringing appetite. It has not. To me, Miriam, what's your view? For me, caterpillar, no. There are certain things that I can eat, Eunice, but caterpillar, no. Count me out. Crocodile meat, no. Count me out. But I once ate a snake. Snake, yes, wine. I once, that's the truth. Those are food. It's food in North Korea. When we went to North Korea with Dr. Militon Obote, the late president, we ate snakes. They brought wine on the bottle, served, and the snakes inside, not live, but removed the poison and everything, well looked after, and they have made what we call snake wine. And the snake wine is the most expensive wine in Singapore. If you have ever gone to Singapore, in that restaurant that rotates up to Nakuru, then comes back to Nairobi, while you are seated in a restaurant eating, you will see that it is a snake. A snake wine is being drunk, eaten, and after that, the bottle is empty. They bring you a plate with Tabasco and a pili and a something. You cut the snake and eat. I'm not making comfortable some people's lunch, but these are things that do happen. And but I cannot eat a snake in Africa. For example, if you go to Democratic Republic of Congo, you have to be very careful, my sister, which is a Greek and food. We are talking about food as an element now. Dogs in the DRC are a delicacy. But while a dog in Uganda is an abomination, if someone tells you he cut the dog and ate it, people look at him and say, are you normal? But in DRC, it is normal. You must ask which type of food, meat you are going to bring. Don't stop your car on the side roads and say, nyama, later. No, you will be eating a monkey. So these are some of the things that we need your program to be explaining to people. Another question I want to ask you about the medicine. You talked about medicine, medicinal food, which brings in cure for some diseases, especially things like mumps. I grew up in a situation where mumps were being cured by leaves. They boil leaves and put them in a tray, in a saucepan, and I drink the liquid, which is very sour. Within 2 hours, the mumps are gone. Do you anticipate that time will come when Africa will go back to those type of things?
That's a very interesting question, Dr. Masanga. And while we are still talking about climate change, we have no choice but to start thinking about such. A good example is the experience that we are just slowly but surely crippling ourselves out of, and that is the COVID-19, and how it has been a menace to us. If you ever realize there was such a quick mad rush for concoctions that were purely unprocessed, very raw, very original, very organic. That is what most people went back to. We went back to these shrubs because of their nutritional and medicinal properties that could alleviate some of the symptoms that people were going through. And I'm not saying that we will go back, be as traditional as we were, but my approach is, can we try to combine our indigenous traditional knowledge and understanding of these plants and combine it with science and technology, give it proper value addition without too much disruption, give it economic value. I will never ever stop of stressing that, giving all these plants and resources their economic value that they so deserve, so that we can bring them and make them common on our tables. We normalize taking these concoctions, because at some point when anyone would have been identified to be, a lover of these things, you'd actually be looked at as probably poor, or you are some form of a witch, quote unquote, or people would look at you differently. But if we begin to tell people that, these same plants that you are ignoring, they actually form the basis of a lot of the conventional medicines that are manufactured in some factory somewhere. If we only came to understand that these same plants form very good raw materials for the cosmetic things, for the cosmetic products that we have out there. These same plants are the ones that other countries like China, for instance, they only go and encapsulate them, put them in capsules, and then they send them back to us like nutraceuticals, and we are forced to buy them at very high prices. We need to start opening up our minds so that we understand that, yes, they are wild plants, but they are under the threat of climate change, and very soon we will not have them. Therefore, we need to begin to appreciate them. Can we adopt them? Can we protect and shield them? Can we have functional policies and support for people who want to invest in such fields? And can we find them readily available in our shelves? And when you find me drinking it, when I find you drinking it, when I find Miriam enjoying her cup of a herbal tea that has been harvested from some bush somewhere, I should be able to look at her like a very intelligent person. Thank you.
Now, you bring in something very interesting. Miriam, during the COVID situation, most of our people in my country, Uganda, especially us who come from the mountains of Elgon, survived because of the herbal fluids. They used to go to the forests on the slopes of the mountain and pick roots, boil them, and the COVID never came until the vaccination arrived. I have people of 90 years, 80 years, who never suffered from COVID because they had taken some of those fluids from the roots. So this diversification is not telling you, Dr. Yamasham, Yanini, Dr. Vu, what is it? What is the common word in Kenya that you use, Miyam? The doctor, the herbal doctor is called what?
Mitishamba.
Mitishamba, yes.
Yes, it's Mitishamba.
It is not Mitishamba, surely. It is real medicine. You see, in Africa, we have two types of doctors. We have a witch doctor and a medicine doctor. Medicine doctors, Africans, are the ones who go to the bush and say, this medicine, this root can cure mumps. That's not a witch doctor. No. A witch doctor is the one who says, if you mix this, you will produce 10 children. That one now becomes a witch doctor because he has not studied biology. You are not the one who can determine how many children one will produce. But a medicine man will cure you. A medicine man will tell you that your stomach has been rumbling. Your stomach has been rumbling. Your body has been having rashes. If you go and do, for example, men like us have what we call wrinkles. Look at, I've removed the glasses so that people can say wrinkles. Someone told me, if you use a particular cream, there will be wrinkles. These wrinkles will go. That is 40 years ago. And I started saying, no, this guy is telling lies. Look, I've used one type of cream for 45 years. If it is not available, I don't touch it. And I wondered, this is a villager in my village who said, go and buy Vaseline. By then it was not Vaseline, this lotion, there was real Vaseline with a Cabotro. And start using Vaseline, that's all. My face has become very permanent, very nice. No wrinkles, no this, no that. Those are medical, that's a medicine man. But a witch doctor is different. So in Africa, we have a problem. That's why you find that people laugh at each other when they say, if you drink this herb, you will be all right. People will say no. If you collect this food and eat this food, it will make your blood strong. They don't want to go for it. How on earth, as we come to a landing and I give you space to explain more about your company, what do you do? Because you told you from your bio, you have a company and you are also struggling to make sure that people know what products you do. How valuable are these talents tapped in Africa? Eunice, we seem to have lost Eunice. How valuable? Yes, valuable? You can now tell us everything, including to your company, what you do, what foodstuffs you can expect, where we can locate them. And the next time, if you have your photos for them, you will send them to me and I put them across to the television for people to reach you so that you can have, that's the benefit, and then you become also earn a living out of it. Thank you. You go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga. I have seen someone has sent me a direct message asking me, well, if we are talking about agribusiness, what are these kinds of and chiswa and herbal plants? This was very intentional. The conversation was shaped like this intentionally because what we want to bring about is a shift in mindsets when it comes to agribusiness. We don't have only to be engaging in maize. We don't have to be engaging in kale. We just don't have to focus on things like wheat and business is. We want to move away from an area that is overpopulated when we are talking about business, agribusiness, and saying that, oh, I'm not earning, we are not getting money. Why can't we look at a different direction, a different angle, a different about agribusiness?
I know you are struggling with the internet.
Person who might be questioning what we are talking about, I would gladly confirm that yes, this was an intended conversation. Am I back now?
Yes, you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. We hear you very well, but again, you have disappeared.
We apologize for that, technological challenges. So, yeah.
I think we have lost Eunice, but next week, I think Eunice will make a very habitable place on the move as we start. That is not a problem. This is a very good start. There are 3 things that we have picked. So you will make it habitable with a permanent network.
You hear me now?
We hear you now. Make your parting short before you are cut off again. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Caterpillar. And, oh, yes, Eunice, you are back again. Yes. Eunice, we hear you. You hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, but there's such an interruption in my connectivity.
So you speak now. Speak, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I was saying that whoever was trying...
We apologize. We'll perhaps just end it here next time. Hopefully Eunice can have a better connection, because I think she's making very important points there, that it will be prudent if we can clearly hear what she is saying. But no worries, next time we shall be with her. And I did have a couple of questions that I did not get a chance to ask, but I will do so next time. And so, yeah.
Miriam, you had the chance to ask her. She's there. She's still on.
The connection is not very good, so I'll just do that next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Eunice, thank you very much, Miriam. This is the beginning of our show. Eunice will return, and in the future, when we have stabilized, she will do it twice in a week to make sure that people understand of agribusiness in Africa, not particularly for Kenya, but for the whole Africa. And introduce our company. We have products that she makes so that people can feed well. You can't be exporting when you are hungry. You can't be hungry when the food is plenty. You can't be having plenty of food when others are going hungry. Some countries in Africa are pouring food in the ocean, but yet some countries in Africa are crying for food. That is where Africa must change. This brings us to the end of the agribusiness or Africa business where we usually talk on Tuesday from 11 o'clock up to 12 o'clock. We speak about agribusiness, agriculture, and the Africa business, small scale industries, promoting, of course, in Kenya, in Uganda, we have called the parish model. Kenya, you have the bottom-up model. And Ethiopia, you have the same model of agriculture intensive. Zimbabwe, we have small scale and large scale commercial farming, tobacco, maize, flowers. In Tanzania, we still practice arable farming of so many other categories. This is the business of this show. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much. Eunice, are you back now? No.
Yes, Dr. Masanga, I am back, but unfortunately my connectivity is really weak.
Okay,
this is quite unfortunate, but I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that this is just the beginning. Let's look forward to the next session, where I believe we will be better placed so that we can expound a lot more. This we were just laying.
Okay, thank you very much, Eunice. We shall send you the clip so that you look at some of the points that you made yourself. God bless you in Bungoma. God bless everybody. In Nairobi, Kenya, God bless me where I am. In here, in the cold, while Miriam is enjoying the sunshine. Is it cold in Nairobi? And I'm told it is a bit cold. Miriam, is it cold? Is it raining?
It's all right.
Yeah, it is winter almost everywhere. That's why the colonialists chose two countries on African continent, Zimbabwe and Kenya. This time in Zimbabwe, you have to wear a jacket. And in Nairobi, we are beginning to wear a jacket towards Christmas. Usually some of the places are not very good. The weather pattern has changed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, myself, Mr. himself. Thank you very much, Miriam. I look forward to watching and listening, and perhaps later on enjoy the diaspora dispatches from Miriam Ogutu in Nairobi, bringing us to pace with diaspora dispatches. How we look forward to the new Ministry of Diaspora Dispatches, and we need to connect ourselves there to encourage the diaspora people to get involved, organized themselves, because they are looking that they are the fulcrum of every African country, not only Kenya. Uganda, as you know, started having the diaspora of dual nationality a long time ago. Almost 20 years ago, you can obtain both nationalities wherever you are. If you are in Germany, you can become a German citizen and at the same time become a Ugandan citizen. Ghana started in 1970, so they are one of the beneficiaries. That's why you see Ghanaian players have a mixture of some blood that comes from Britain and back and Europe. France took all our people. Oh my God. The whole team of France is full of relatives of Miriam and Masanga. I don't have a relative there, but literally speaking. So we are here, we are. The French team, when it plays, I think when it reaches the finals, people will now choose to support cousins. So there you are. That is the type of life that we have, the imbalance. But we have done our best, Miriam. We have brought out issues since morning, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. We have been on the show. Thank you very much. God bless us. Here we stand. Here we go. We came. We saw. We conquered. And The world is a stage where you come, play, and go. Back to you in the studios.
Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.